Hello, am I audible? Could you please comment down whether am I audible or not? Okay, thank you, Sushant. Thank you for confirming. Thank you, Ruturaj. I will start the session. Let's wait for 1 more minute. You can ask your doubts in the comment section. In the comment section. Let's wait for 1 more minute, and then we will start. So the screen is visible. I hope. Is the screen visible? Can you please confirm anyone of you? Okay, again, welcome all of you. We will start the session now. So, day before yesterday, we have learned what is SQL, what is database, and how to create a database, or how what are the different types of commands available in SQL Server, and then what are the different types of the database data types available in SQL. So today we will learn how to create a table in SQL. So, as I mentioned, what is table? So, table always resides inside a database. So, whenever you create a database, the table will always be residing inside the database. So, to go to the particular table, you can for example, if you want to go to a particular table inside a particular database, then select that particular database and then click on the plus option. Then here the tables option is there, so you can click on here and then you will get these are the user defined data tables, whereas these are the system defined tables. These are pre-built tables, whereas those tables created by me or you or any developer or administrators will be shown here. So to create a table, there are two ways. One is using a graphical user interface, and other is using a query. So to using graphical user interface, you can select the table option and then click right click and then click new and then table. So suppose if I want to create a table in northwind database, then I can select that particular database and then expand that database, and then inside the table you can click and create a new table. So here we will create a table inside a student demo by using graphical user interface, then new. It will take time. This software got hanged. So what is the syntax of the create table? Is the create table, these are the keywords, then the table name, and you can specify the column, number of the columns and their data type. So like if you want to create a table, the the restriction is that at least you have one column inside that table. Now see, you can specify the column name as a student ID, then data type. So student ID can be integer. So I will mention as it is not responding. Let me restart my SSMS. So I will show you one more thing. Now you can see this software or this tool is not responding. And if you want to close that software, you can right click on your task bar and then go to the task manager. And here you can see there are how many number of tools are open. You can close these tools. If I want to close this particular application, then just click and end task. Now I want to close this SSMS, and even you can see the CPU and memory, how much uh, my computer is utilizing the memory. The reason behind why it was responding is was not responding. The reason is that CPU is of 100%. So I will close this task. Okay, let me open one more time SSMS. Will connect to the database engine. So here inside student demo database, I will create one more table called student. So we'll create one more database called student demo first. Create database. Yes. This is my syntax to create any database. I will execute it. So now if you want to switch from now you are into the master database, and if you want to switch from one database to another database, you have to use a keyword called use and then database name and execute this command. So you will be switched from the master database to student demo. Now I am into the student demo. To confirm that, you can check here the database name, and even you can confirm from here. Now I will create a table called student. So to create a table, as I mentioned, you can create a table using graphical user interface or using SQL script. So under the student demo, I will expand it, and inside the table, we'll right click, create table, new table. So you can specify the name of the columns of a particular table. So in my case, I will mention student underscore ID. Then data type, in our case, it will be integer. Okay, the student ID is integer. Then student name. So inside the student name, we will store the characters. So to store the characters, there are four types of the data types. One is the character, one is another is the varchar, and then nchar and nvarchar. So in our case, we will keep the data type as varchar because every student may not have a fixed length of the characters in their name. So what we will store, we will use data type as a varchar, and then 50. Then we'll store the date of birth of the student, and then data type would be date. We will store the date of birth in the date format. So I will select date, and I will save this table. So I will give this table name as student. This is the This is the one way to create a table. I will not click here OK. If I click OK, the table will be created. I will show you the alternative way how to create the same table by using SQL query. So the syntax is create table, then table name. In our case, it's a student. So the column is stu student underscore ID. Then data type is integer. So we will store the Student ID as 1234. So integer contains the values from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. I will consider data type as int, and then use comma to separate to get the differentiate between two columns, and then student name is my another column name, and its a data type is var char 50. So I will create only uh, two columns in this particular table, and I will execute this query. And you can see here the table is created. Now, if you want to insert a data into this table, then okay, so the next command is alter command. So the purpose of this alter command is used to change the definition of any SQL object, be it a database or be it a table or procedure or function. So in our case, now the table is already exist. You can see there are only two columns are present, and I will expand and I will show how many columns are there. You can see only two columns are there. So this table is already exist. And now if I want to add one more column into existing table, then the syntax is you have to use a alter command. So alter command is used to modify the structure of a table or any database or any SQL object, and it is used to like add, modify, drop columns in existing table, and it is also used as add, drop various constraints. In future videos I will future lessons I will explain what are the different types of the constraints, and what are the different types of the relations available in the database. So constraint is nothing but the restriction. Okay, so I will explain in next lesson or next to next lesson. So now I want to add one more column here, date of birth. So how can I add? The syntax is alter table, table name, and add, then column name, data type. So we will use the same alter table. Table name is, in our case, table name is student student. Then add, these are the one in the blue color are the keywords. These are the standard keywords. So add, then column name. So date of birth is my column name, and the data type is date. uh, the naming convention for a column or table is that you cannot, if there is any space, then in that case you will get an error. See, the red line is under the data type. So if, if, if you want to specify a space in a column name or a table name, then you have to like you have to include in the rectangular bracket. So see, the red line is gone. So it's always best to avoid the name where space is added. So don't give a space in the column name or table name. Now I will add this and I will execute. I will select this part and I will execute. And you can see here, now there are only two columns are exist. I will add one more column called the date of birth. Now I will replace this column part. So you can see there are one more column is added called date of birth, and its a data type is date. I will explain what is null. As I mentioned, null is a constraint. So what is null? Null means if you don't want, if you don't know a birth date of a student, okay, student may have birth date, but we were unable to capture the date of birth or birth date of a student. That time we can specify as a null. So null means is it's not like a blank value, or it's not like a uh, absence of value. It's kind of absence of value, so we are not aware about it. So that when we are not aware about the any value, that time we can keep the data type or the constant as null. Now I will add one more field here called uh, or column. Field is nothing but column as phone number, and I can mention data type as where char 10. So here character is a fixed length, and I can store max to max 10 characters inside this phone column. I will execute this and you will get one more column added here. See, phone number is added. Now, what if I want to delete a column from existing table? What is the syntax? Sometimes it happens by mistakenly or probably the mind changes or any requirement changes. That time we have to drop a column. So how can we drop a column? There are two ways. Like even to drop a column or to alter a column. Sorry, to drop a column, there are two ways. You can right click on the particular column and delete from here, or by using syntax is syntactical method is alter table name, then instead of the add you can mention drop then column and then the name of the column. So there is no need to mention the data type of the column. Now I will drop this. See, the column is not there. Okay, so this is the syntax. To drop a column is used to drop column is used to drop a column in a table and deleting unwanted columns from the table. So sometimes in case of the requirement changes, we have to drop a table or drop a column, and sometimes it may happen like initially we may not think that date of birth is essentially to capture the date of birth, and later there is a requirement came from the business users that hey, we want date of birth of the students. During that time we have to add a date of birth, and we can add that using a alter table command. So again, as I mentioned, alter is a DDL command, and it is used to change the definition of any object. So now I want to change the database name. How can I change? I can right click and change. Go to rename option, and here from here I can change. See, student. Yeah, I got the error. Unable to rename student. Reason behind is that this database is in use. You can see this database here. Student demo is in use. So during that time, when the database is in use, meaning that if some persons or some users are accessing the data, that during that time you cannot drop the database or you cannot rename the database. To rename the database, first you have to close all the sessions. So to close the sessions means this, you have to close this part. Now if I want to rename it, I can rename it. See, here you can see a student database renamed. This is using the graphical user interface. Now if I want to rename a database, how can I rename? Using a SQL query. So this is the syntax: alter database name, modify name, then new name. So I will take this syntax here alter database. So in our case, what is the database name? Student. I will copy the student database name here, and then the modify name, the new name is student underscore demo. You can see earlier it was student demo, and I have changed using graphical interface to student. Now I am changing from the student to student demo using query. So just execute it, and you can see this is student. Once I refresh, it will be changed to student demo. See, it is changed to student demo. So this is the use of the alter command. This is the alternative. This is the store procedure where you can like again use either this query or this query. Now I will change from student demo to this is the older name. Okay, older name means now this is the name, and the new name I want to keep as student database. I will comment out it. Comment means it will not execute the statement. Okay, it is only for the reading purpose. Now I will rename. I will execute this query. This is the error. See, this is called the output window where you will get the error or successful message. All the details here. From here, you can figure out whether your query is successfully executed or not. In case it is not successfully executed, during that time, you will see the red message. Now the database name is changed to student database. See, student database. So today we will learn one more uh, concept called insert statement, and the purpose of the insert statement is the insert statement is used to add the rows data into the table. So whenever there is a requirement, okay, we do the registration on our college website or on Flipkart, Amazon. There is everywhere. If I open registration window, this will- see, this is the registration form, and it is similar as any web application where the username, email address, everything is captured, and behind this, the insert statement is written. So, so to add data, there is a statement called insert. So we will use that, and we will add few sample records in our table. So this is our table. Student. So by using graphical user interface, you can right click to add the data into database, right click and then edit top 200 rows. So student ID as one, then student name as Praveen, then date of birth as 2016. It is always in YYMMDD format 29. And I will save this data. Now you can see the data. Okay. See, student ID 1, student name Praveen, we have added the data. So to add the data using graphical user interface is you can click on the data table and then edit top 200 rows, and then you can add. So I will add one more record, Praveen, then 3 YAN Priyanka, and then date of birth is today's date as or any date 2017 02 01. So this is the year, this is the month, and this is the date. You can save and you can execute this query. So this is the select statement to get the data or to retrieve the data. Select statement, we will use the select statement. We just added data using graphical user interface. I will show you how to add the data using SQL script. So the query is insert into then table name. In our case, the table name is student, then values, post the values. Even here you can specify the column names. Columns are student ID, then student name, then date of birth, then values. This is the syntax. Insert into table name, then list of the columns, and then values. Then you can specify the value as now student ID is integer, so there is no need to uh, put it into the quote. So three, then student name. You can see this is the varchar. So varchar value you have to keep in the single quote. So I can mention as yes, then date of birth as again date of birth to add date of birth you have to mention in single quote. So you can see a date of birth has a like number and characters, so it is kind of varchar. So 2019 05 dash 05. So we'll add this record. See, one row is affected means one row is inserted into this table. This is the 3S, and this 2019 is date of birth of S. So you can check from here also. Edit top 200 rows. CS record is added here. Now suppose this is the insert into statement. Okay. Now suppose if you want to add multiple rows. Okay. This is a single statement. If I want to add one more rows, you can specify like this 4 v, then you can specify as 6 5 query, then you can specify like this. Okay, to distinguish between these two command, you can specify go statement in between to differentiate between these two statement. Okay, now you can, I will add two more rows here. See, two more rows are added, and you can check, you can use this select statement to get the data. I will explain how to use the what is the purpose of the select statement. But meanwhile, I'm just what I'm doing. I'm getting data from this database, student database. Then reviews the schema, and student is my table name. So I can also specify like this. This is the table name. Then all the column names. So I can execute. See, five total, like these two rows are added now. Suppose if I want to add a multiple rows in a single statement, how can I add? Okay, this is the command. Insert into, then table name, then list of the columns and values. Okay, so before that I will show you one more thing. Suppose if I don't specify the name of the columns, then also I can insert data. There is no need to specify. If you want, if you are inserting data into each and every column, then there is no need to specify the list of the column names. I will remove this one, and I will add one more record here as next. What would be the name? Sharad as a name of the student, and then the date of birth. So I will keep this one only. Here you can see in that case the order should be same. If you change this order, okay, like student ID, if you keep at this at the second place, then you will get an error. I will execute this and I will show you how it works. So see, this record is added. The ID is 6, student name is Sharad, and the date of birth. See, it is there. Now, suppose if you want to, if you change the sequence and if you haven't specified the list of the columns or the list of the columns, then you will get an error. I will change the sequence in this case. I will specify 7 here, and then I will try as okay, and I will try to insert the record. What will happen? See, you will get an error. Conversion failed when converting the varchar value to data type integer. So what will it will try? SQL will try to insert this into integer, and integer does not contain the character value, so it will throw an error. And if you want to insert the records into table, if in that case you have to specify the order of the column. So here I will specify the order of the column as student name, then student ID, and then date of birth. Now this is matching. So now will be go into the student name, 7 will go into the student ID, and that is date of birth will go into here. See, it is working now. It's coming. Okay, now what I want to, I don't want to insert date of birth. I'm not aware about the date of birth of Jai. Okay, in that case, what will happen? So I don't know the date of birth of a particular student called Jai. So how can I do that? Jai, and you can remove that this part, date of birth, and then this part also. Now you can execute. See, in that case, in case of the J, date of birth will be stored as null. You can say so J as null. Okay, so we don't know the value of the J. What is it? It could be today's date or yesterday's date or day before yesterday's date. We are not aware about it. And okay, so now if you want to insert data into multiple records into a table, then the syntax is like I will how can we insert so the syntax is insert into then table name and list of columns and values, then list of values in the uh, brackets. Okay, this is the syntax. I will copy this syntax and I will replace. So in our case, table name is student. So list of columns as student ID, then other name is other column name is student underscore name, then this date of birth is one more column. And now put values, and here in this bracket you can mention like 10. There is one more student called Om, and his birth date is 2022. So you can copy this here. I will just change. You can specify multiple values. 11 Raj, and then 12 Rahul. You can specify any date, okay, and you can execute. So here there is no need to specify the insert into and then column names again in the single statement. You here you will specify the column names, and then inside the values you can specify the number of records. So I am inserting 3 records, and you can see here 3 more records are inserted. So we have learned this one, modifying data insert without specifying the column name. So this is the syntax: insert into table name values, and then value 1 2 3 4. So by specifying column name, if you want to insert the records into particular columns, and if you don't want to insert the records or data into all columns, that time you have to mention the list of the columns here, and then the values. And in case if you want to insert multiple records, then this is the syntax. Okay, so today we will stop here, and tomorrow I will covering the SQL constraints. What are the different types of the constraints? How they are useful in our